Keynote, powering the AI era, building the infrastructure for innovation. Once again, I kindly request Mr. Sunil Gupta, co-founder, MD, and CEO, Yota Data Sciences, to please join us over here.
Good afternoon once again. The purpose of this presentation is to ultimately come to a conclusion that for AI to succeed, or for that matter, any industries to succeed, the fundamental infrastructure has to be built. That applies to all the industries. There's no purpose having vehicles if you don't have good roads. There's no purpose having a great retail ecosystem if you don't have proper shops and malls. There's no purpose having aeroplanes if you don't have great airports. Applies to all industries. Same is the case with digital industry. Unless and until we have got great data centers, great servers, great compute, great chips, great networks, great end devices, unless you have this fundamental infrastructure of creating digitization and consuming digitization, the digital ambition can never be successful. So ultimately, while I will show lots of data and lots of content, try to prove my point, but fundamentally, this is the conclusion I would like to draw your attention to. So this is something which I think we all are day in and day out experiencing. AI is changing our personal life. AI is changing our professional life. We are reading about AI day in and day out. We are trying to make understanding of AI day in and day out. I seem to be claiming that I'm doing something in AI, but every day when I wake up and read a Economic Times or Mint or any newspaper, there'll be at least 5 news stories on AI at least. I think all of you see that. And each of that news story will tell me, oh, how ignorant I am. I don't know what is happening. So much of things is happening all across in AI, and this most of the time is AI is invisible. Today you still see AI as a chat GPT account, it is visible. But so much of AI is invisible, you don't know. When you are using a Netflix, you don't know AI is working behind you. When you're using a Amazon and is giving you a recommendation, you don't know. There's so much of AI, and tomorrow when you start having connected, driverless cars and so many other things which will be coming by way of physical AI, robots, sensors and all, you will not be knowing an invisible infrastructure we're playing, not only in terms of sensors and the AI in the devices, but also invisible infrastructure operating in the form of GPUs and chips into data centers. This is how AI market is evolving. A chat GPT garnered 1 million people in 7 days. Chat GPT garnered 10 crore consumers in 3 months. This is the fastest adoption of any technology. We all keep on gushing about Facebook adoption, Instagram adoption, Snapchat adoption, digital adoption, 5G adoption, but no technology has come into people's life and got adopted so fast as a chat GPT. And if we just go by the global numbers, this is the numbers, you can just see, these are global numbers. Normally we are used to this type of CAGR growth for India, but this is global numbers, how AI ecosystem is growing at a furious pace worldwide. Of course, in India, if we see the numbers, they look like minion. They look very small numbers. But if you see the growth rate for India, the growth rate of India, if you see from 25 to what is projected to be 35, it is like 10 times compared to what it's today. Globally, also, it will be increasing almost like 5 times. But in India, as usual for any other technology, the growth rate, because we are working on a small base, because we're working on lots of enablers of like 80 crore people having smartphones, which will be consuming AI in future, and many other, I would say, the back-end drivers, the growth of India will also be almost 10 times compared to what it's today. Now, what are the developments happening worldwide? I'll again putting lots of data here, but just to tell you the developments worldwide. There are investments by states. It is not only private investments which are happening in the world, it is states who are investing in AI because they have understood AI is not only a tool for economic growth, but as I said in my previous conversation, AI is a tool for geopolitical sovereignty as well, geopolitical supremacy as well, which we see day in and day out. So you can see the nation states are investing in AI, whether it is US or China, which is always quoted all the time. But if you see even pockets like UK or Middle East, nobody could have imagined that Saudi Arabia will be saying that from my oil, I'll be shifting to tokens. But that is what is happening, and billions of dollars are being put by countries like Saudi Arabia. Of course, in India, while on one side, we can say it looks very small number compared to what the numbers you can see for the larger country, but the fact is 2 years back, this market was zero. In last 2 years, India has taken a huge step forward, and of course, this is a base India has built and will be growing faster and much higher later, and I'll explain on that. And if you see on the right side, the private investments, in private investments also, especially in a country like US, which is completely capitalist country and it's mostly driven by private, you will see the type of investment which are being done. Of course, Mr. Shailendra is there. I'm putting Oracle here. He will be talking about it possibly more. But you can see $500 billion. Nobody has ever thought a project like this, which will be putting in. Of course, I think if his privacy things permit, he will share some more details about what all excited actions Oracle is doing. But you have got 500 billion type of projects are doing. Earlier, it was supposed to be only for US. But what I understand now, I think this combination is also trying to bring this project to multiple countries, hopefully for India as well. And again, you can see, US and China, UN, and of course, if I talk about India, a little bit of ourselves, we are right now, if you ask me, right, very modestly I can say you, almost 80% of India's AI ecosystem in terms of GPUs is something which Yotta is investing in. We already have put in 8,000 Hopper GPUs, and in the next 4 months, you will see the 8,000 Blackwell GPUs also coming in. So in a way, a big private investment also is coming in worldwide, and of course, India is also catching up. If you see some of the other trends which are happening in AI, which are like beyond investment trends. One is US is clearly the leader. As is the case with most technology, US is the clearly leader. China is catching up. You can see 40 models. Sometimes we are wondering why India is making so much of sovereign LLMs. I'll talk about it. But US got 40 LLMs, many of which you are using day in and day out. China has got 15. Even Europe has got 3. And China obviously is proving that the same LLMs can be made with the same performance with a much lesser resources compared to what were earlier thought, and that is further fueling the growth of AI. If you see adoption, how it is increasing. If you see the next thing, last point, the cost of inferencing is reducing, whether it is models which are becoming optimized or whether it is chips which are becoming much more powerful, which is giving the much less cost per token. Both the developments are happening, and that essentially what will mean, because the cost of AI will increase. Now you must have seen, which for a different reason altogether, OpenAI reduced its price from $20 per month to 399 rupees. Perplexity made it free to Airtel users. One may be the reason that nobody can ignore in market like India. If they want to win Indian market, they have to reduce the prices down. Volumes only make business. But the second is, actual cost of inferencing is reducing, and that again will increase the AI market bigger. Small models. Right now, we all talk about ChatGPT, but small models are the models which actually will make the industry grow. The models which are B2B, which are actually doing a specific purpose, right? Especially for enterprises' own use cases. This is something which we all can see. Again, Oracle is doing in their own way, but all the hyperscalers are trying to, I can say, protect their own territories, right? They are trying to protect their own user base. Google is great in search, it's putting its AI in its own search. Microsoft is great in its Windows ecosystem, Office ecosystem, O365, it's putting its AI into its O365 ecosystem. So everybody obviously is trying to cash on their own user system, and these are all the developments continuously happening. This is where, again, I'm coming to my point, why India need to build as soon as possible with huge emergency, and that's what government is also working on, is its own sovereign AI infrastructure ecosystem. AI and GPU is not just an economic or technological tool, it's a geopolitical tool. And I think you all are following the news. Earlier, because US thought, I cannot make this available to China, Iran, Russia. Then they brought diffusion law. Thankfully, that law never finally got implemented, but that would have severely restricted the access to GPUs to entire world except for 14 or 15 friendly countries. Even India would have got seriously affected. Thankfully, Trump removed that. But now, something which is in process right now, which may or may not become law, is a GAIN Act, which essentially is saying, Mr. Trump is saying, only when you satisfy the need of all the US customers, only then Mr. NVIDIA, Mr. AMD, Mr. Intel, you can give the chips to anybody else in the world. And you will have to take licenses and permissions from US on that. So these are the developments which are happening. And of course, China is saying, main bhi chup nahi baithunga. I have rare earths, which are 90% of the rare earths of the world is with me. So if you block access to chips to me, I will not give you rare earths. So essentially, suddenly Mr. Trump say, okay, you can take S20 chips or B20 chips with you. So these are the developments which are continuously happening, and that is why Very, very important. Whether you see, when you see Government of India talking about semiconductor mission or whether Government of India talking about India AI mission, very important that India urgently possible build its own chips, build its own GPUs, build its own data sets, build its own models, and become sovereign into all this. This is like, I just was trying to show this stack. And the purpose of this stack was the same which I earlier said. While most of us see AI at the top layer, that AI is doing something in Netflix, AI is doing something in AWS, AI is getting implemented into my corporate applications like SAP or Salesforce. But from pushing AI on the top is the whole AI stack below this. There are system integrators, there are model builders, there are data set builders, there are cloud service operators, there are chip builders, there are data center operators. All this entire is building that. And the point again I'm saying is, behind this success on the top, AI adoption, there is a huge physical ecosystem below this, which is data centers and chips. And that is the ecosystem which India has to win. Same message. GPUs are central to this entire growth. And this is the war to win. This is the war you can see from the numbers. US has got today estimated 2.5 million GPUs, high-end GPUs I'm talking about. If you see China, despite so much of restrictions, it is estimated China has got more than 1 million GPUs. India AI mission, again I'm saying, from the time there was no GPUs 2 years back, today we are talking about India has got around 34,000 GPUs. But while it is great achievement in the last 2 years, it's not enough. Given India's situation, and this is what I'm talking about, that as on today, while on one side we can say last 2 years, great achievement. But if we see on anything in terms of AI research papers, AI patents, number of GPUs, on every parameter as on today, India is far, far behind than US and South Korea, right? Or China. Of course, there are players, hyperscalers like Oracles are bringing GPUs, there are others who are bringing in terms of local players like Yotta have built in a huge capacities. But this is, I can say, is a very, very starting point. If you see why I'm saying so, this is what the potential of AI is, of India is in AI. India as a consumer of AI, and second is India as a supplier of AI. As a consumer, don't we think if we have 80 crore mobile phones, each of that mobile phone will be carrying some applications in future which will be powered by AI. You can just see any good use case of AI you make, instantly it will become hit, it will instantly reach 10 crore people. That is the power India has. So India, of course, and just few hours back, Mr. Sharma was talking about the UPI adoption and all. You give great application to Indian consumers' hand, it will become instant hit given our population. So India has got a huge potential. There's no doubt India will be the largest AI market. Just like it is the largest market for social media program, it is going to be for AI also. But the second is, given our talent, given our startups, given our whole ecosystem, India can be the potential largest supplier of AI also for its own use cases also, which India is working on, and also as an exporter, just like we have been exporter for software. And again, that shows why India should start building its own AI ecosystem as fast as possible. These are some of the, again, I would say recent developments in India. I just thought I should capture and share with you, whether it is government of India working furiously on all aspects of AI, whether it's funding GPUs, whether it is enabling lots of LLMs being built in India, whether it is creating something called AI Kosh, which is a data sets marketplace, Sarvam, which is the first LLM India will be building. Hopefully by December, you will see India's first large language model coming out from Sarvam. Very happy that this Sarvam is getting trained on our GPUs. Zoho, obviously creating a lot of LLMs for enterprise use cases. Fractal will become the first AI company or data sciences company which will become a unicorn. Of course, great developments that earlier everybody was saying, oh, India market, okay, dekhenge. But today you see Perplexity bundling it free of cost with Airtel. OpenAI from $20, rest of the world, but in India they have brought it to 399 rupees for this thing. This is a market nobody ignores. And of course, I think we have got now government coming out with policies, RBI coming out with policies for AI adoption. And this is, and why in India, again, I mean, maybe I'm repeating the same point, but why in India it is very, very important. One is, India is, while we'll be using our own models, we'll be using global models, whether it's open source model like Llama or Mistral, or whether you use closed models, APIs like OpenAI and all. But India, both for economical reason, also that our own use cases have to be our own language-driven, voice-driven AIs, and also for latency reasons and also for sovereignty reasons. India has to build its own models, and India is on that path. Multiple LLMs, multiple SLMs are built. That is training. But the second part is, once these models are built, once these models are put into use cases, either in agriculture or education or healthcare or any other sector, can we just imagine what type of inferencing workload will be coming in? Because the whole population will be adopting those use cases. We'll have multiple UPI moments coming in India. And for that, the scale of GPU infrastructure required for inferencing will be even far larger than what India right now is trying to build for training its own models. This is what, this is where I'm trying to introduce what we have done, right? Not just as a matter of promoting what my business is, but we feel that we really are doing something besides making business sense to us. We are creating something of national importance. This is Shakti Cloud. We have, in the last 2 years, we have built 8,000 H100 GPUs. In the next 4 months, you will see us enabling another 8,000 Blackwell GPUs. And these are the key thing was important. What I'm trying to show right here is something what you call as NVIDIA reference architecture. Now, you don't require only GPUs. You need to make sure all these thousands of GPUs are talking to each other through a very high-speed network called InfiniBand, right? And only then you can have clusters. You know, a ChatGPT was trained on a cluster like this. Or for that matter, any model, Mistral, Anthropic, Cloud, all these things have been trained on thousands of GPUs which are connected on an infrastructure like this with very specialized element, including storage and all that thing. This is what we have brought in. And this is something which is enabled. When we are saying in India now, we are making LLMs. Today, we are very proud. All this infrastructure which you can see in US or China or any developed country is very much available in India. Feel very happy again as the Indian company. Sometimes when we say high quality mean US company and a medium quality you say Indian company. That is a typical perception. But if you see in NVIDIA, this is the NVIDIA global website screenshot. It shows Yotta is one of the only 6 companies in the world which actually is following complete NVIDIA reference architecture. And when you listen to Jensen Huang now, in any of his GTC speeches, he spoke in Taiwan, he spoke in Paris, and whenever he's speaking, he's actually quoting Yotta as one of the parties who's actually a part of his overall global GPU and AI scheme of things. And what we are doing now, what we are enabling to the market is, whether as a startup or as a student or as a school, university, you are building AI, creating, giving like Juniper notebooks, or whether you want to have thousands of GPUs, in a single cluster, single fabric. You want to train large language models like what Servam is doing or Socket is doing or Gyani is doing, right? Or whether then you have ready-made models, you want to just use Llama, train it, and then want to use it. Or you want to build your own model, grounds up, and you want to put it on training. We are actually trying to make sure that we as a neo cloud, born out of India, are able to deliver everything which otherwise you can expect only from a US or any country like this. So this is something which shows, for example, all the environment which developers want when they build their AI models or applications is available through our AI lab. This is something we are making available to students, and this shows again the type of cluster. Idea of again showing a very technical slide was just to give you a glimpse of the type of clusters we have built in our data center. So when we want to train models like ChatGPT in India, these are type of clusters which need to be there, and this is something what we have implemented in India. This actually shows, so these all shows the various models which I think many of you must be using to build your own applications. So whether it is thinking reasoning models, image generation models, vision models, multimodal models, or text to speech, all these models today, you as a consumer, I'm again trying to say it again, you as an Indian consumer, you can just come to an Indian operator, a sovereign operator called Yotta, and just use it and just pay few $100s. That is what you expect typically from a cloud operator, and all these are available in sovereign environment in India itself. And of course, besides the models, if you want to create full blueprints, you want to create agents, you want to create an agentic AI workflow, NVIDIA itself gives, because we are a very preferred NVIDIA's partner, NVIDIA itself is creating a whole lot of agentic AI workflows, and that is something which is available in this whole ecosystem. My purpose, again, I can tell you, is not to tell what Yotta is doing. I just want to create this thing. This is a sovereign AI ecosystem being built in India, which you can consume it. So you are getting access to the best technology, but still making sure your data is lying in India, in Indian control. And that is something which is very important, especially when you're talking about AI. This is another thing which we have done. So it is like this, you are saying ये sovereign बोल रहा है, suddenly Microsoft कहाँ से आ गया? So the idea of sovereign is not that we start looking inward. The idea is, can I use the globally best technology, whether it is Microsoft or Oracle or Azure, Amazon or Google or Anthropic or anybody. Can I use their best technologies, bring their technologies on the top in my sovereign AI infrastructure, put my own gates around it. So it is best of both worlds. You bring the latest technologies in India, partner with the best people who have done better than you, but bring them within your sovereign framework and make that combined offering available to the Indian consumers. And that's what we are trying to do. These are just some of the screens. I will not take it much time, but this shows the screens of how we are offering all these services in a typical, I would say, user-friendly environment, the way you expect from a cloud operator. This is what we are doing. And of course, this entire thing is available in India. You don't need to just be thinking about कहीं तो cloud में कुछ चल रहा है, मेरे data क्या होगा. You want to touch and feel your AI, you can actually come to my data center, see the machines on which your AI is running it, where your data is residing. We are coming from a data center background, so if as an enterprise you say, मेरे को private cloud environment दे दो, तो मैं आपका AI use करूँगा. You can do that. So instead of trying to buy your own boxes, which is too capital intensive, and trying to manage that, you can have best of both worlds. You still have your private cloud, private GPUs, bare metal, private storages, private networks, your own MPLS terminating into data center, and still use it on a consumption cloud model. And that is what we are again as a part of sovereign AI. And of course, goes without saying, next question of yours would be global compliant है कि नहीं? And that is where you can see any and every industry you are in, any and every compliant standards you would like to have, those are the things we have made sure that this entire Shakti Cloud is complying to all those standards. You would like to see some great names in India? Any who's who of India who is building AI today? Sarvam, Socket, Bhashini, Mr. Sharma talked about Bhashini. Very, very happy to say that Bhashini itself is a completely local sovereign platform for language translation, transcription, transliteration. That entire model now also has got a complete sovereign backend. It's completely running on Yotta. And of course, we have many, many great names, IIT Bombay, IIT Chennai, many of them who are building the AI model. This is like India's dream of AI coming, getting realized, gradually, one by one. And of course, what we are doing, which may be relevant to many startups, we are funding and giving lots of credits to more than 45 startups who are building exciting AI applications and models. And we as Yotta are very, very helpful in creating this ecosystem. So whether it is startups or whether it is universities, schools, students, if they want to use this infrastructure on credits without paying any money, till the time they are commercially successful, we are willing to fund and give access to all this technology to all of them. So this is my last message. This is, by the way, feel very happy that you heard of you hear some big names nowadays, right? Cloud operators, global names, but you'll see that among all those global names, there's also a name which is Yotta. So this is a global matrix by markets and markets, and they are placing Indian operator. Yotta is not important, the Indian operator they're putting in a global matrix as one of the top leaders. This is my last message. AI is the future. I don't think any of us are nowadays thinking AI is a fad and it will go away. AI is the future. AI is not just an economic enabler. AI is a geopolitical tool. India has to build its own sovereign AI. We have to make it collectively. We are working at infrastructure layer, but there are many of you who are building the things on the top of there. Together, we have to make sure this dream actually realizes a Viksit Bharat. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay.
Check. Thank you so much. And I kindly request Mr. Shubhamoy Chakraborty to please join us from ABP. And please felicitate, sir, with a token of respect. Can we have, once again, big round applause, all of you?
They already gave me one. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.